You stare into the embers. The heat fades from your skin. The circle of light shrinks until it vanishes entirely. What happens next? For almost all of human history, this moment triggered absolute terror. Today, you might experience a power outage and feel a minor inconvenience. You look for your phone. Your ancestors looked for their lives. For roughly 300,000 years, the death of a campfire was an existential crisis. It reshaped your body, your brain, and your survival. What did your ancestors actually do when the darkness won? To understand the panic, you have to look at your eyes. You have terrible night vision. Your ancestors lacked the reflective layer behind the retina called the tapetum lucidum, which allows cats and wolves to see perfectly in the dark. Instead, your ancestors were completely blind the moment the sun dipped below the horizon. The African savanna did not sleep at night. It woke up. Apex predators like the saber-toothed cat or giant hyenas possessed specialized nocturnal vision designed specifically to hunt helpless primates. Fire was not just a tool for comfort, it was a kinetic shield. Archaeologists studying Wonderwerk cave in South Africa discovered something fascinating deep within the caverns. They found microscopic traces of wood ash and burned bone fragments dating back 1 million years. This is the earliest evidence of early humans, specifically Homo erectus, systematically pulling fire inside a cave. Why did they do this? Caves are natural traps. If a leopard corners you in a cave, you have nowhere to run. Fire turned a deadly trap into an impenetrable fortress. But what happened if the wood grew damp? What happened if the guard fell asleep? When the fire went out, the fortress crumbled instantly. Your ancestors could not simply relight it with a match. Making fire from scratch using friction sticks or flint, striking was an exhausting, time-consuming process that required dry materials and absolute coordination. Doing it in pitch darkness while hearing the low growl of a predator was practically impossible. The immediate reaction to a dying fire was an evolutionary response you still feel today. Your heart rate spiked. Your body flooded your bloodstream with cortisol and adrenaline, the stress hormones designed to keep you awake. Your ears tuned themselves to the highest frequency sounds. Did a branch just snap? Was that the wind or a predator creeping through the tall grass? This ancestral panic explains a strange quirk in your modern biology. Have you ever experienced a sudden jerk in your muscles just as you fall asleep? Scientists call this a hypnic jerk. Anthropologists believe this is a direct hangover from your evolutionary past. For millions of years, your ancestors slept in trees or around dying fires. Falling asleep too deeply meant dropping your guard, or literally dropping out of a branch into the jaws of waiting predators. The brain developed a reflex to shock the body awake if it felt the muscles relaxing too quickly. When your bedroom goes dark and you feel an irrational sense of unease, you are not reacting to your modern room. You are reacting to the ancient savanna. The loss of fire did more than just expose your ancestors to predators. It threatened their very metabolism. Harvard anthropologist Richard Wrangham famously proposed the cooking hypothesis. He argued that controlling fire allowed early humans to cook their food, which essentially predigested it. Cooked meat and starchy tubers are incredibly easy for the human stomach to break down. This simple shift allowed your ancestors to absorb dramatically more calories while using far less energy for digestion. Because of fire, the human gut shrank over evolutionary time, and that extra energy was redirected straight to the brain. This process is called encephalization, which means the rapid growth of brain volume. Your massive, intelligent brain is literally fueled by cooked food. So let's reconstruct a night when the fire died. Without a constant heat source to roast food, your ancestors faced a metabolic crisis. Raw meat contains dangerous bacteria, and raw wild tubers are often toxic or completely indigestible. If the fire stayed out for days due to heavy rains, starvation was not far away. Your ancestors could not store energy efficiently in their bodies without the high-calorie boost of cooked meals. A cold camp meant a hungry camp. How did they survive successive nights of freezing temperatures? They had to rely on a different kind of warmth. They relied on each other. When the fire went out, the physical structure of the tribe shifted immediately. Your ancestors could no longer sit in a wide circle to look at each other or work on tools. They had to pack their bodies tightly together to conserve heat. This behavior is called huddling, and it is a primary survival mechanism for hairless primates. Your ancestors had lost most of their thick body hair millions of years prior to help shed heat during daytime hunting. Without fur and without fire, a cold night could easily lead to hypothermia. You survived because your ancestors chose to sleep in a dense, breathing mass of human flesh, sharing body heat to keep the core temperatures alive. But this physical crowding caused a massive psychological shift. Anthropologist Polly Wiesner from the University of Utah conducted a famous 2014 study examining the social life of the Juhoansi Bushmen of southern Africa. She analyzed the exact topics of conversation during the day versus around the campfire at night. During the daylight hours, conversations focused almost entirely on economic matters, hunting strategies, rules, and conflicts. But the night fire changed everything. Under the glow of the embers, 81% of the conversations shifted to complex storytelling, mythologies, singing, and social bonding. Fire elongated the day, giving your ancestors a safe space to develop human culture, empathy, and language. Now consider the counterintuitive twist. What happened when the fire went out? The stories stopped. The cultural web snapped. Without the safe light of the fire, language became useless for the night. Your ancestors could not see facial expressions or gestures in the dark. They had to fall completely silent. Noise attracted predators, so absolute silence was the only shield left. The vibrant, storytelling human animal suddenly had to revert to a silent, shivering primate. The fire was the literal engine of human consciousness. When it died, the human mind had to retreat into a dark, silent holding pattern. Archaeologists have found evidence of this struggle at sites like Gesher Benot Yaakov in Israel. At this 790,000-year-old site, researchers mapped the precise locations of burned flint tools and wood ash. They noticed that the fire pits were placed in highly specific, repeated spots over thousands of years. This reveals that fire management was a multi-generational responsibility. It was a sacred trust. Leaving the fire die was likely a severe social crime within the tribe. The individual responsible for watching the flames faced intense social shame or even banishment because their negligence placed the entire genetic lineage of the group at risk. Think about your life today. Look around your modern home. You live in a world of artificial light. You flip a switch and the darkness disappears. You adjust a thermostat and your room warms up instantly. You have completely conquered the night. Yet when you sit in front of a fireplace or watch a candle flicker, your eyes lock onto the flames. You feel a deep, unexplainable sense of calm wash over your nervous system. Why does watching fire soothe your modern mind? It is because your brain still remembers. For hundreds of thousands of generations, looking at a burning flame meant you were safe. It meant the predators were staying back in the shadows. It meant your food was cooking, your tribe was talking, and your body would stay warm until the sun rose. You are the product of the survivors. You exist because your ancestors fought through the pitch black, packed their bodies together for warmth, and kept the flames alive against all odds. You stare into the embers, the heat fades from your skin. The circle of light shrinks until it vanishes entirely. What happens next?